Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. You have to bear with me. This isn't my cup of tea. I'm not comfortable with this. But I have to do this to help anybody out there that might have industrial wind turbines creeping up into their properties. I want to start by thanking Ken for his determination in learning how to do this StreamYard stuff so that we, the victims of industrial wind turbines, can share our stories. There are many heartbreaking stories out there around the world. We're just one of them. We live in the north part of Chatham, Kent, Ontario, Canada. And again, bear with me. I've got notes because it's difficult to tell a decade story in 5 minutes, and I'm sure this will last a little bit more than 5 minutes, but I gotta start somewhere. So, as I said, we live here in the north part of Chatham, Kent, Ontario. And we live on a shallow, highly vulnerable ancient aquifer, and it's called Kettle Point Black Shale. Many families for centuries have depended on this untouched, ancient, pristine, crystal clear resource of drinking, cooking, bathing, laundering water. Even our pets and our livestock had a good life with this water. We live in a 4-generation home. It was life. Then in 2009, Boralex introduced the first 5 industrial wind turbines in this area. And I can see them from my backyard. They might be maybe a mile and a half away as the crow flies. And that's where our nightmare began. We started seeing, it was like a black sludge all over our clothes, and there was just no way we could wash it out. So a lot of our clothes went to the garbage. So the first step my husband thought was to change the leathers in the pump. So when he did that, he came up from the basement and both his hands were pure black, like he had dipped them into a bucket of grease or oil, black oil. We were both surprised by this, and we thought, well, maybe we'll have to change these black leathers more often, is what we thought. Then my washing machine broke down, my dishwasher broke down. We replaced them, of course. And it seemed to have dissipated in time. And then in 2012, GDF Suez, now called NG Canada, or now it's NG Canada, that own these, another 55 turbines came in. It's called the East Lake St. Clair Wind Project here. 55 turbines, 25 100-foot H-beams, pile driven into this shallow aquifer. And when I say pile driving, I mean hammered these 100-foot steel H-beams, 25 per turbine, into this aquifer. That's like pretty much made our aquifer into Swiss cheese. It wasn't good. We started seeing a black powdery substance appearing in the tub. And over time, it just got worse and worse and worse. We changed out our holding tank. We changed out our hot water tank. We redid all the plumbing in the house. We went as far as changed out the line, the well line from our well to the house, thinking we might possibly have a crack in it. No, that wasn't the issue either. So we had come to the conclusion that maybe we have to change our whole entire well. But when we started driving going to from just on the road, we started seeing a mess of water wells first signs. We had no idea what it was about. So we started asking questions. Why are all these signs getting posted around here? Well, come to find out, there was a gentleman that started Water Wells First that was warning the people here about the industrial wind turbines creating this water issue. So Terry and I attended the first meeting, and we were flabbergasted at how many people were in the same boat that we were. We were all affected by it. I was invited to join them to a meeting on June 28th of 2017 to the Ministry of Environment's office in Windsor, Ontario. We tried to warn them, beg them to stop moving forward with the North Kent 1 wind project in the neighboring Chatham Township. If they moved forward with this project, more families were going to lose their water. And come to find out, the municipality knew this happened here as well. And they wouldn't listen to us. With all the warnings that we gave them, they wouldn't listen to us. And it happened. More families were affected. It happened like we said it was going to happen. You can't imagine what it was like for me and others to go over there, protest, try and save them from going through our nightmare, our same nightmare. It happened just as we said it would. On May 5th of 2018, and I can show you the letter, Premier Doug Ford promised us a health hazard investigation to look into the sediments that's in our water. It was a campaign promise that has not yet been filled. Promised a health hazard investigation that it was ended up being reduced to an all hazard investigation. On July 19th of 2019, I got a phone call from our MPP's office. Christine, you got to go to a meeting over at the golf course. There's a special announcement that's going to be there. So I went. And it was our MPP, Monty McNaughton, that he introduced and said that they're launching the health hazard investigation. And that's all. Then here comes COVID. So that kind of shut everything down. January of 2021, the investigation commenced. And by December 2021, the expert panel released the report. And I've got to add, we were neglected from that investigation. They didn't even knock on our door in Dover Township. So when the expert panel submitted the report, there was recommendations to the Ministry of Health that they continue with this investigation to look into the sediments that we can't filter out of our water, these black sediments that we can't filter out of our water. Our chief medical officer called it sand. We had a public meeting and told everybody it's just sand. It's just filter it out. It's safe. You can drink it. It'll just come out the other end. So in May of 2022, we have somebody that reached out to me, had paid to have our water and sediments analyzed at a laboratory in Michigan. The results of the sediments that came back was not good. I have a lot of toxic heavy metals in that black sediment in our water. So in January of 23, I had decided to open up a campaign fund And I made enough money to have 8 more wells tested, the sediment in their water tested at this same laboratory. And the results are all very similar. We have arsenic, barium, cadmium, chromium, cobalt, lead, molybdenum, if I'm pronouncing that right, nickel. And in 2 of the wells, they have mercury. That's not sand. And I don't think you can convince anybody to drink that. In May 30th of 2023, our municipality, thank you, Rhonda Jubenville, wrote to the Ministry of Health, to complete this all hazard investigation, because not one single sediment testing was analyzed. No sediments were taken from anybody in the Chatham Township area under the North Kent 1 Wind project and was analyzed. Not a single one. So we need to know what's in our water that we can't filter out because it is so silt fine. And we are waiting now. In November of 23, I contacted an ombudsman because the Ministry of Health has not responded to our municipality. Why? We need help. We need to know how this is going to affect us. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to take you downstairs and we're going to look at what we're dealing with here. And I'm not alone when I'm talking about this and I say the word we and I'm speaking for the people that have been affected here. I wish I could turn this camera around, but I can't. I see that. And I've tried this before with that StreamYard. So this is as a warning to you folks in Newfoundland. Be very careful. Know what's going on. These are the sediment traps. So I have a 250, 500 that goes down to 2 1000s. That filters into this tank. And then from that tank, I'm trying to see this here, if I can get it angled right. It goes into a 10, to a 5, to a 1 micron, down to 3.5 micron into this tank, into the house. And this is our supply of cooking, drinking water. So I'll end it here. And as I said, it's just a warning. I'm just sending a warning out there to everybody that's might be dealing with industrial wind turbines. It's not green.